Each week, I try to answer a different viewer question that I get in the comments section here on my YouTube channel, Dr. Seth Psychologist. The questions can be about relationships, and I will try to get to your question. Here's the question that I'm going to answer today, and it's this one. I can't afford to get divorced. What do I do? What do you do if you're in an unhappy marriage and you simply can't afford to get divorced? First of all, you are not alone. You are not alone. If you look to Hollywood movies, so many of them will make you feel like people in marriage are happy and everything is blissful. But the truth is, a lot of times people in marriages are in relationships that, for one reason or another, have become unhappy. In fact, Stephen Beach and colleagues in 2005, in the Journal of Family Psychology, they published an article. This is a widely cited research article that shows that about 20% of marriages are dissatisfied. People are unhappy in about 20% of marriages. That is millions of marriages if we're really being honest about it. And the thing is, if you yourself are in one of those marriages that has really become unhappy, you may just simply look at your budget, your finances, and you may say to yourself, I can't get divorced. I can't afford to divide households. I think when you think about the cost of living today, just the cost of housing, the cost of food, health insurance, it is just endless. And many people get together for a lot of different reasons. Many people seek out a long-term partner, yes, because they want to have children. That's one very common reason. But another reason that a lot of people simply seek out a relationship too is simply because life has become so darn expensive. For a lot of people, they simply can't afford to take one household and divide it into two. That creates two sets of payments for everything, two sets of groceries. The list is endless. Two electric bills, two water bills, right? It goes on and on and on and on. Well, listen, I don't believe that people should suffer just endlessly being unhappy. I don't believe that people should have to feel miserable. People in a relationship should have to feel like the other person maybe just doesn't care about how they feel, maybe doesn't really pay any attention to them. Or on the other hand, maybe there's just a lot of discord and conflict. I don't believe that that's good for anyone. Here's the thing. If you can't afford to get divorced, even when you have decided, you know what? If you had all the money in the world, you would. You simply would. Well, if you can't afford it, one thing you can do is you can try to make it better. Now, when I say that, something that you may automatically be thinking is that you have already tried everything. And you know what? The truth is, maybe you have tried all sorts of different possibilities. There are certainly things that a person can do that are more affordable. Now, it takes two willing participants. One of the most affordable things that you can do is to try to find a good self help book on how to repair a marriage that is broken. One of the things that you can do is you can look for some of these self help books that have been created to specialize in repairing couples that have ruptured relationships. One example, for example, are the books of Harville Hendricks. But that is just one. But one of the things that you can do is look to a licensed mental health professional who has written a book on what couples can do, the specific exercises and activities that they can try to make things better. I think a simple conversation, starting with a simple conversation, when the marriage has really gotten to that point where you say, if we had the money, we would divorce, is to acknowledge, listen, I have grown so unhappy in this relationship. To say that to the other person, I don't want to be this unhappy. I sense you are this unhappy too. I don't want you to have to be this unhappy because we can't afford to get divorced. Maybe there are some things we can try to at least make things a little better, a little better. Maybe the goal for some couples that have just grown so far apart, maybe the goal isn't to create the most blissful, happy, satisfied relationship ever. Maybe that's too big of a goal. Maybe that's just unrealistic for a lot of people. But you know what? I do believe that every couple who is struggling can make their relationship improved a little bit, just a little bit. Each person can always try to soften a little bit. Each person can always, I believe, work a little harder to try to understand the perspective of another person, to try to give a little more, to try to be a little bigger hearted. Now, all safety issues aside, right? If there are safety issues that are making you say this marriage isn't something that you can do any longer, that's something to reach out to authorities for help and for safety. But aside from safety issues, you can say to yourself, you know what? One thing that I can control is to try to do my part to make this a little bit better. And you know what? Saying to the other person that you're in a relationship with, that you have grown unhappy with, saying once in a while to them, I am trying. I am trying. That can sometimes go a long way. I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist.